I knew something was off when the fire marshal called me before sunrise, asking why Leventra Tech's $300K product launch event didn't have a valid assembly license on file. I was still in my robe, stirring instant coffee with a pen cap because my spoons had all mysteriously disappeared, probably hiding out with my last shred of patience. He sounded confused. I wasn't. Not really, because deep down, I already knew Claire had screwed something up. The only surprise was that the match had been lit this early. Usually, Chaos slept in till noon and showed up in heels. But let's rewind, because if you don't know Claire, oh boy, you're in for a treat. And before we get into that mess, real quick, if you're enjoying this already, tap that like button and subscribe. Seriously, 90% of you forget, and it genuinely keeps our little storytelling team caffeinated and petty. We've got more tales of office lunacy than HR has awkward pamphlets about team synergy. Anyway, Claire, fresh out of a marketing immersion program that probably involved a lot of TikTok strategy and $18 smoothies. She arrived like a reality show contestant who accidentally wandered into a real company. "I'm here to modernize Leventra," she chirped on her first day, in shoes that had never touched a cubicle floor. I'd been with the company 11 years. I'd survived 4 reorgs, 2 hostile acquisitions, and 1 CFO who faked a heart attack to avoid a budget meeting. I didn't blink when Claire was parachuted in as head of product launch. We'd all seen this movie before. Only this time, it came with a trust fund and influencer energy. She didn't notice me much. People like Claire rarely notice operations folks unless the espresso machine breaks or someone forgets to reorder the oat milk. I kept the gears turning quietly, efficiently. That's what I did. When a shipment got stuck at customs, I made calls. When we needed a city permit approved for a venue in under 3 days, I massaged timelines and pulled strings from contacts I'd built over a decade. No glory, no press releases. Just the backbone of the company nobody bothered to see until something went wrong. And something was going wrong. I knew it the second my system pinged me with a routine alert. Event license compliance, auto-renewal flag pending. Normally, that wouldn't raise an eyebrow. But I remembered Claire loudly telling everyone in the Monday status meeting that she'd handled all the logistics herself. She said it like she'd just performed open-heart surgery. In reality, she'd uploaded a Canva invitation and spent 2 hours choosing between shades of blush pink for the napkins. Still, I wasn't paid to care about people's delusions. If Claire wanted to play launch queen, fine. But the thing about legacy systems and legacy staff is that sometimes wires stay connected in places the new kids don't know exist. Especially if the compliance systems were built during a merger, and no one bothered to map out who actually had admin rights after the dust settled. Which, spoiler alert, meant me. I sat at my desk that afternoon, watching Claire flounce around the open plan office, her assistant trailing behind her with a ring light and iced matcha like some kind of tech-themed pageant. The developers looked up briefly, mostly because her heels echoed off the laminate flooring like a drumline. "Michelle," Claire said with a practiced smile, "we're all set for the event, just so you know. But I've got it covered so you don't have to worry." She always said things like that, like she was handing me a favor instead of slowly walking into a minefield with sparkler candles in each hand. "Good to know," I said, sipping my coffee, now full of pen ink and bitterness. But I was watching and waiting, because the thing about systems is they remember everything, even the things people think they've deleted. It was the Thursday before the launch. A dry run walkthrough at the venue in Midtown, some overpriced glass box with a name like Echelon or Axis, or something else that sounded like a rejected Bond villain. I wasn't supposed to be there originally, but logistics had looped me in late. Something about a vendor being confused over load-in times and asking for a second compliance check. Claire hadn't responded to emails, per usual, so I showed up with a clipboard and a gritted jaw. The venue smelled like citrus and ambition. Contractors were setting up LED panels, flower arrangements were being fluffed to look casually extravagant, and the audio guys were already sweating through their branded polos. Everyone was moving, buzzing, doing. And in the middle of it all, Claire, wearing a satin jumpsuit and a Bluetooth headset like she was directing the Oscars. Not a hair out of place, but chaos vibrating in the wake of every gesture she made. I stayed out of her way, checked load capacities, made small talk with the fire inspector, confirmed the HVAC unit hadn't tripped since last inspection. Quiet work, the kind that keeps events from ending in lawsuits. I was about to leave when Claire spotted me. Her eyes flicked down to my loafers like they'd personally insulted her great-grandmother. She excused herself from a group of interns who were nodding so hard I thought they might sprain something. "Michelle, hey," she said, pulling me aside near the foam marble. Her voice had that syrupy tone people use when they're about to tell you you're dying, only less compassionate. I just wanted to touch base. "Sure," I said, professional smile locked in place. So the event, she leaned in as if she were doing me a kindness. It's a really curated guest list. Very visual. A lot of VIPs, influencers, photographers, and I want to be super transparent with you. That was the moment I felt my stomach drop. Not because I didn't know what was coming, but because she had rehearsed this. She had practiced it in the mirror. She was enjoying it. I think it's best if you don't attend, she said brightly. It's not personal, it's just, you don't exactly fit the aesthetic we're going for. There it was, out in the open like a dead bird on your doorstep. I blinked once, twice, let it hit, let it sting, and then I smiled, the same way you do when someone cuts you off in traffic and flips you off for existing. That detached, feral kind of calm. Of course, I said. Good luck with everything. She beamed like she'd just given me a spa day. Thank you, I knew you'd understand. What she didn't notice was the way the room shifted around us. How the caterer paused mid-box lift. How two junior designers, both barely out of college, exchanged wide-eyed glances. It wasn't just the insult, it was the casualness of it. The surgical precision with which she dismissed over a decade of work like I was a coat rack in the wrong color. I walked out, my heels echoing down the hallway louder than her entire marketing plan. My face was stone, my chest was fire. I didn't cry, didn't rage, didn't even flinch when the elevator doors closed. But something had moved inside me. A gear clicked. Not revenge, not yet, just clarity. Later that afternoon, I was back at my desk, answering a backlog of vendor emails Claire had ignored. Half listening to the company Slack, I saw a thread from Claire's assistant pop up in the events channel. All set for Saturday. Claire handled venue and compliance herself. CEO confirmed she's leading the full rollout. Party flexed #boss energy, of course she did. And of course she announced it like she'd solved world hunger with an Excel spreadsheet. She had no idea what she hadn't handled, no idea what box had never been ticked. But I did, and I had the keys. I didn't go home right away that night. Instead, I sat at my desk in the ops wing past 6 after the lights dimmed and the snack cart had done its final lap. That wing of the building always went quiet early. Sales had their happy hours, design had their rooftop wine nights, and marketing lived on Instagram Live. Ops, we just finished things. I logged into the back-end systems, mostly out of habit. I'd spent more years in this dashboard than I'd spent married. It was ancient, clunky, a Frankenstein's monster built out of 3 acquisitions and 1 panicked rebrand. No one under 30 could use it without breaking something. But me, I knew every tab, every flag, every dangerous little button buried in its dusty corners. The event permit record was right where I thought it'd be, filed under Revoked Tech Event NYC April 22 Tempoth. That Tempoth at the end was key. It meant the city had approved it provisionally, pending a final compliance box being checked before midnight on the day prior. Specifically, a form labeled LTX61A, a mind-numbingly boring document that asked questions like will fog machines be used indoors, and are strobe lights visible from public roads, the kind of thing Claire wouldn't know existed unless it had a Spotify playlist and a mood board. And sure enough, the box next to Final Assembly Compliance Verified Auto Renew License was still gray, unticked, floating there in digital limbo. I sat back in my chair, arms crossed, no music, no dramatic lighting, just the hum of the overhead fluorescence and the soft, almost sad sigh of a printer spitting out some forgotten invoice nearby. I wasn't angry, not anymore. I wasn't even hurt. What I felt was something else, something cleaner. I felt done. Claire had made a decision. Not just to humiliate me, but to walk past me like I didn't exist, like the bones of the company she now strutted across weren't held together by people like me. People who stayed late, who answered the damn phone when city compliance called, who remembered how every weird little legacy system plugged into the next. And the funniest part? No one had even thought to revoke my access. During the last org chart shuffle, it moved my title from ops director to logistics consultant. Some VP thought it sounded more modern. But titles don't change back-end permissions unless someone manually updates them. And no one had, not in 2 years, so I could still touch everything. I could see the license flags. I could see the override settings. I could see the fallbacks that it had rigged up after a venue fiasco in 19, when we'd nearly been shut down by the fire department during a product demo involving dry ice and a poorly placed outlet. I didn't tick the box. I didn't untick it either. I just looked at it. Technically speaking, no license had been fully issued. The provisional would expire at midnight, and without the auto-renew flag enabled, the system would default to non-compliant and ping the city event system. A quiet little flag, no sirens, just a simple status update in the database. Non-active, final compliance unverified. I hovered over the field, not with glee, not with wrath, just curiosity. Then I opened my calendar, clicked over to Saturday at 11:45 p.m., and set a silent notification, check permit record. No plan, no plot, just a note. After all, if Claire really did handle everything like she claimed, if she had all the details locked down and the compliance box ticked, then the license would renew automatically. If she hadn't, well, that would be unfortunate for her. I logged out, closed the dashboard, packed up my things and walked out into the cool night air. Midtown always smelled like hot garbage and broken dreams after dark. But tonight, it had a different scent. Something sharp, something electric, something like inevitability. Claire posted her first Instagram story at 7:06 p.m. It was a boomerang, champagne flutes clinking midair in some rooftop bar with skyline views and just the right amount of sunset. Tagline in gold script, Tomorrow, we dominate NYC. Kiss Sparkles #launch queens #Leventre glow up by 7:22, she'd posted another one. A slow pan across a candlelit table with name cards and oyster towers. I counted 12 faces I recognized, marketing leads, investor reps, her old roommate who somehow got a consulting badge and now called herself the brand energy facilitator. The audio was a remix of something popular enough to get stuck in your head for days. At 8:05, she went live. "Hey babes, we're celebrating something major tonight," she said, sweeping the camera across the room. "This launch is gonna change everything. Like everything. We've got press in town. Our partners are landing tonight, manifesting a flawless rollout. Leventre is going big, baby." She panned past a waiter holding a cake shaped like the new product. Frosted circuits, candied leads. I actually laughed at that one, loud enough that my cat bolted from the kitchen counter. The TV was off, no music. Just me, my couch, and the soft glow of Claire's filtered reality playing out on a 6-inch screen. I sat in that silence for a long time, holding the phone, not scrolling, just thinking. About the time I stayed in the office till 3 a.m. to fix a logistics outage during a holiday rush. The way I missed my godson's recital to chase down a missing freight container that turned out to be sitting in a warehouse, mislabeled as bamboo flooring. The bonus I never got because budgets were tight, while Claire's job came with a designer laptop bag and a welcome bouquet bigger than my last raise. I thought about every Saturday I worked without extra pay. Every time I was told I was too essential to promote. Every manager who said we'd be lost without Michelle, but somehow always found the budget for a new PR hire with a TikTok following. I didn't cry. I didn't drink. I didn't even change into pajamas. I just stood up, walked to my desk, and turned on my laptop. The screen flickered to life like it already knew what I was about to do. I logged into the compliance system at 11:43 p.m. The event file was still sitting there. Leventre Tech Event NYC April 22 Tempoth. The auto-renew flag was still active. The override logic, designed to give IT a 12-hour buffer in case something glitched, was still enabled. Claire had touched none of it. She hadn't even opened the record since uploading the initial draft. Her entire permit was a sandcastle waiting for high tide. I hovered over the auto-renew license field, uncheck. A confirmation box popped up. "Are you sure you want to disable auto-renewal?" "Yes." Next, I opened the override logic tab, scroll, disable contingency fallback. Save. I stared at the screen for a full minute. Nothing flashy happened. No alarms, no cinematic countdown, just a dull flicker as the system refreshed and accepted the changes. Then I closed the tab, shut the laptop, and sat back in my chair. That was it. That's all it took. One click and the provisional permit became a ticking clock. Claire's empire now had 24 hours to live. Unless someone, somewhere, noticed. Unless someone remembered to tick a box in a system only 3 people on staff even understood. Unless someone who didn't fit the aesthetic showed up to fix it for her. I went to bed at 12:04 a.m., slept like a baby. First thing I heard that morning was my phone vibrating itself off the nightstand like it had something to confess. I cracked one eye open and saw the screen blinking like a dying firefly. 12 missed calls, 9 Slack mentions, 3 voicemails. The timestamp reads 6:12 a.m. My apartment was still wrapped in that soft, early light that makes you think, for just a second, that the day might be gentle. It wasn't. I rolled over, groaned, and unlocked my phone. First Slack message, 5:44 a.m. From someone in events I barely knew. "Hey Michelle, do we have the actual license doc for today's launch?" Venue says something's missing, then rapid fire, update, security says they can't let anyone inside. Something about a city flag, police are at the loading dock, not sure if that's related. Is this a drill or? I sat up, rubbed my face, let out a low, exhausted laugh that sounded like it came from somewhere beneath my bones. Coffee. First coffee. I padded into the kitchen, barefoot, and started the kettle. Opened Slack on my laptop while it heated up. The group chat was a digital wildfire. Claire's team was spinning in all directions, half blaming the venue, half blaming some poor junior comms guy who was now apparently in charge of permits. Legal had joined the thread at some point around 5:58 a.m. I scrolled past a dozen panicked emojis and one extremely unhelpful gif of a dumpster fire. That's when someone finally tagged me directly. At Michelle, "Hey, sorry to bug so early, but looks like you're still listed as primary compliance officer on backend. Do you know what's going on with the city file?" Still listed. Of course I was. Claire hadn't changed a damn thing. No reassignment. No role update. No thought given to who actually had responsibility. Only who looked good holding the mic. I typed back slowly. Calmly, fingers steady on the keys. "You'll need to call the city events office directly." The file was flagged non-compliant at 12:01 a.m. when the final verification wasn't received. They'll have a status report on file. Let me know if I can assist further. I clicked send, closed the laptop, poured hot water over the grounds. The smell of dark roast bloomed through the kitchen like an exhale. Behind me, the Slack feed continued to churn, messages pinging like popcorn in a microwave. I ignored it, picked up my mug, sat at the window, took a sip. The world outside was just beginning to wake up, delivery trucks grumbling, joggers bouncing past with AirPods and self-loathing. But inside, in that quiet pocket of time before full daylight, I sat perfectly still. No gloating, no panic. Just a steady, full-bodied stillness that filled every corner of my chest. Didn't need to call anyone, didn't need to explain. The system had spoken for me. It had spoken for itself, really. The same system Claire had ignored. The one she thought didn't matter because it wasn't intimacy or viral or full of sparkle. Compliance is never glamorous, but it is absolute. By 6:27 a.m., I got a text from our head of legal. Can you hop on a quick call at 7:15? Board may have some questions. I texted back, sure, I'll be ready. Then I refilled my coffee, took another long sip, and smiled into the steam. By 8:03 a.m., the launch was supposed to be mid-sound check, with lattes in branded cups and interns escorting influencers to VIP experience zones no one could quite define. Instead, the lobby of the Echelon Event Center was packed with media vans, baffled investors, and Claire, locked outside in full glam with a camera flash popping every 2 seconds like she was entering a crime scene instead of her own self-thrown coronation. I stood in the break room with a styrofoam cup of machine coffee and watched it unfold live on Channel 7. Claire stepped out of her town car in head-to-toe designer, the kind of outfit that looks expensive but says, I definitely didn't pay for this myself. Sunglasses the size of dinner plates, lips glossed to mirror finish, hair in a high bun that must have taken half a can of spray. She strutted toward the venue entrance like royalty returning from exile, until she hit the glass doors. A security guard stopped her just short of the velvet rope. There was no screaming, no yanking of lanyards, just a quiet, almost embarrassed exchange, caught clearly on every paparazzi lens. She gestured with her hands, then pointed toward the building, then to herself. Security guard didn't flinch. He leaned down and said something we couldn't hear, but we didn't need audio. The moment said everything. She turned toward her assistant, who was now frantically whispering into her phone, and then toward the growing crowd of cameras. That's when the reporters started asking questions. Claire, is it true you didn't file the permits? Claire, are the investors still attending? Claire, are you still leading this launch? To her credit, she held it together. Chin lifted, lips parted like she was about to deliver a TED talk no one asked for. But you could see it in the way her nostrils flared. The way her friend Harper slowly drifted 3 feet back, holding her phone like she was just answering an urgent email. Claire reached for the door again. Locked. Behind her, a group of suited men, investors, judging by the identical leather briefcases and look of disgusted inconvenience, walked up and were also denied entry. They demanded answers. One of them pointed at his watch and said something sharp. A second later, a new figure appeared, the venue manager. Gray suit, clipboard, permanent frown. Apologies, folks, he said to the gathered crowd, voice just loud enough to be picked up by the live news mic. Per city ordinance, this venue is now restricted from assembly until valid licensing is confirmed. There's no active permit on file for this event. Boom. Could see it hit Claire like a slap. Her shoulders dropped a full inch. The gloss on her lips couldn't hide the panic in her eyes. The camera panned in for the close-up. I sipped my coffee. Harper took a discreet step farther away, then turned completely around and walked back toward the sidewalk. Claire reached for her phone, then yanked it away like it had burned her. The assistant said something, eyes wide. Inside the break room, a few of my coworkers trickled in, eyes locked on the TV. No one said a word. Someone opened a granola bar. Someone else filled their water bottle and stared blankly at the screen like it was a nature documentary about endangered ego. I didn't say anything, didn't smile, didn't nod, just watched, quietly. A little while later, the coverage cut to a talking head speculating about potential financial damage and how this kind of public embarrassment could affect future brand partnerships. I turned the volume down and leaned back in my chair. The room buzzed with soft whispers. She really didn't file the permit? Didn't Michelle used to handle that stuff? She's probably still in the system. No one said my name out loud. They didn't have to. I finished my coffee and left the break room. Back to my desk. Back to emails. Back to watching the empire that tried to erase me slowly leak foundation through a hole its queen didn't even know existed. Emergency call was set for 9:30 a.m. sharp. The subject line read, NYC launch status immediate review. No pleasantries, no RSVP buttons, just a link, a time, and the kind of all-caps urgency that usually precedes layoffs or lawsuits. By 9:31, the virtual boardroom was full, 15 faces boxed into a grid of forced concern and boardroom buttocks. Legal was there, of course, grim and overcaffeinated. The VP of Ops, who hadn't returned a single one of my memos since 2022, sat stone-faced. Claire joined 10 minutes late, her background blurred but not quite enough to hide the fact she was still outside the venue, hair unraveling in the wind, jaw clenched so tight you could hear it through the microphone. The CEO hadn't spoken yet. He sat silently in the center box, arms crossed, forehead resting on steepled fingers. His daughter was unraveling on national television, and he knew it. Let's get to it, said someone from legal. We need to establish what failed in the permit chain. Our insurance rider is already being questioned. Claire jumped in first, voice clipped and defensive. Operations was supposed to handle compliance. I delegated the back-end stuff. That was never my domain. I was focused on forward-facing strategy. I leaned back in my chair and muted myself. Someone from IT spoke up next. We pulled the back-end logs. The event file was last updated at 11:47 p.m. last night. Auto-renew was disabled, override logic removed. The last access came from Michelle Lane's credentials. Every square on the call turned toward me like a synchronized firing squad. I unmuted. Yes, I said calmly. That's correct. Can you explain, legal asked, why you made that change? I opened my prepared document, because of course I had one, and shared my screen. It was a clean, timestamped timeline. Entries highlighted, Slack messages clipped, email headers intact. It read like a case study in preemptive defense. The auto-renewal was scheduled based on final compliance confirmation. As of 11:43 p.m., the required fields had not been updated. I disabled renewal in accordance with SOP 18C, which governs permit integrity in the absence of verified data. I also disabled the override because the fallback settings were built for confirmed staff sign-offs, and I had not received authorization to act on behalf of the event. Silence. Then I added, Claire stated multiple times that she had handled everything personally and instructed me not to attend the event walkthrough or be involved in the final prep. I complied with her request. Claire's voice cut in. Brittle and too loud. That's a distortion. I never said I have the Slack message here, I interrupted, scrolling to the screenshot. Claire's chat bubble and perky pastels, all good. Don't worry about launch stuff, Michelle. This is my moment, face blowing a kiss. There was a pause, then I dropped it. The sentence I'd rehearsed only once but knew would land like a brick. She asked me not to attend, I said I'd embarrass the company, so I made sure not to be involved. Silence again. Now, no one dared to break it. The CEO blinked slowly, still saying nothing. Someone from the board cleared their throat as if trying to swallow the awkwardness. Claire's video feed glitched, then went dark. Whether it was connection loss or strategic retreat, no one knew and no one cared. I unshared my screen, muted myself again, and folded my hands. The thing about truth is, when it's documented, you don't need to shout it. You just need to show up prepared. And I was prepared. Surgical, even, detached. Let the logs speak. Let the system trace every step. I'd done nothing wrong, but I had done something very right. By noon, the press had the headline. It wasn't from Leventra's official channels. It came from a tech blog that lived for exactly this kind of glossy disaster. The title read, Launch Failure at Leventra, CEO's daughter denied entry to her own event. Underneath, subhead, Compliance Lapse blamed for NYC catastrophe. Insiders point to leadership negligence. Inside the office, it was pin drop quiet. Claire's name had vanished from the launch Slack channel by 12:37 p.m. By 1:10 p.m., her calendar privileges were revoked. By 2:00 p.m., an email hit everyone's inbox. Effective immediately, Claire Worthen has been placed on administrative leave pending internal review. In the interim, launch-related inquiries should be directed to the operations office. We thank Michelle Lane for identifying the compliance issue in time to prevent additional legal exposure. Her diligence is appreciated. It was short, clinical, the kind of corporate prose written by 3 lawyers and a PR team on their 3rd coffee run. But I read it twice anyway. Then I archived it and went back to my spreadsheet. The funny thing was, I didn't feel triumphant. No confetti dropped from the ceiling. No slow clap from the interns. Just that same quiet hum of servers and inbox pings, and the faint scent of burnt popcorn from someone who never read the breakroom rules. The fallout hit hard and fast. Investors were furious. Some had flown in from Europe, Asia, South America, all expecting a glittering launch that had instead turned into a headline they now had to explain to their shareholders. At least 2 partners issued formal complaints demanding reimbursement for travel and breach of agreement. One particularly irate venture rep allegedly stood outside the Echelon lobby and screamed into his phone for 12 straight minutes. My favorite part? He was screaming at Claire's assistant, who was last seen Ubering away from the venue, clutching a stack of branded tote bags like they might save her. The CEO tried damage control, held a closed-door call with the board, then scheduled one-on-ones with key stakeholders to rebuild trust. But the story had leaked, and you can't mop up what's already gone viral. That evening, as I was packing up, HR slid a sealed envelope onto my desk. I opened it to find an official retention offer, salary bump, bonus payout, and a formal request to consult on future high-priority launches moving forward. I read it, nodded, slipped it into my drawer without signing it. Not yet. At 6:15 p.m., I passed the executive floor on the way out. Claire's office door was wide open, empty, her nameplate removed. The only thing left was a lone orchid drooping toward the floor like it knew something had died. I paused just long enough to look, not to gloat, not to revel, just to observe, full circle. Claire had tried to make the launch about her, but the system didn't care about selfies or style or brand elevation. It cared about boxes, flags, procedures, and when those were ignored, it didn't whisper. It screamed. All I did was let the system speak. I never needed revenge, just accuracy, and maybe a little silence to enjoy it. The resignation hit the press 3 days later, not from Leventra's comms team, of course. We're still hiding behind no comment statements and waiting for the legal dust to settle. But someone from Claire's PR agency must have realized the optics were unsalvageable. They leaked a carefully scripted exclusive to a lifestyle publication known more for skincare routines than tech shakeups. Claire Worthen steps away from Leventra to pursue creative independence. Sure, the same day, a handful of investors formally withdrew from 2 upcoming Claire-led initiatives. One of them had already transferred support to a rival firm, citing a renewed focus on operational reliability. Another simply said, "We can't build on unstable ground." Inside the office, things quieted down. People moved on fast. That's the way it always goes. Launches come and go, headlines flare and fade, and everyone pretends they weren't just one decision away from disaster. But the logs don't forget. Friday morning, I came in early, before the lights clicked on automatically, before the team's chatter filled the halls. I brewed a proper cup of coffee from my stash, none of that shared breakroom poison, then sat at my desk and opened the back-end system one last time. The dashboard loaded slowly, like it knew it was about to let go of something important. Under Event Access Management, Claire's name still sat in faded gray, permissions suspended but not yet scrubbed. I clicked through the admin panel, reviewed the records, then hovered over the final alert tied to her credentials. Temporary administrative override. Claire Worthen NYC launch 2023 delete. A single click. The confirmation window popped up. Are you sure you want to delete this record? Yes, it was gone, no fanfare, no dramatic music, just a clean database again. Order restored. I leaned back, eyes on the screen, then reached for my coffee. Outside the window, the city buzzed. Unbothered as always, trucks honked. Sirens wailed somewhere distant. Life resumed. A few minutes later, a new hire from marketing wandered by, tablet in hand, looking dazed. Hey, she said, sorry to bother. I just started last week and I've heard bits and pieces, but what actually happened at the launch? I smiled. Not big, just enough. Always double-check the checklist, I said, and never forget who built the system. She blinked, nodded, and wandered off like I just handed her the secret to fire. I didn't follow up, didn't explain, didn't drop the receipts I still had printed and neatly filed in my drawer just in case history tried to rewrite itself. Because I didn't need to, the system remembered, and so did I. I turned back to my screen. A new project was already loading. Another launch. Another opportunity for someone to pretend that operations didn't matter until they did. But this time, they'd remember the silence. They'd remember who held the foundation steady. And they'd remember the woman who never raised her voice, but never missed a box. Appreciate you sticking around, you legends of the break room. Subscribe for more chaos. Let's make your old managers spill their coffee in fear.